Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him and eat with him, and he with me. There are verses that stand out from the sacred scriptures, and this one was one that came out on the 23rd of March, this very day, in 1967. We had gone to a meeting after school in a local chapel, and it was led by evangelicals, and we gave our life to the Lord, and this was the verse that was being used. But many things happened as a result of that. Giving oneself to the Lord also meant that the Lord was Lord, and it led eventually to asking for baptism and to looking for vocation, and then eventually looking for the fullness of the truth. For not long afterwards it became clear that was in the Catholic Church, and the rest followed. But it all hinges on that element of the will, and the Lord knows that. Therefore we must respect what he is doing across the Christian board. All those who are trying to save souls are trying to get at the will of the souls, and that applies to every human being. Every will has to be handed over. The sacraments do function ex opere operato, but the collaboration needs to be there if they are to have their effect. Otherwise we misuse the grace of God. With regard to the misuse of the grace of God, that does happen, especially if one becomes so familiar with certain things that one is no longer engaging with them. That is why, when one observes brethren praying, specifically in Protestant chapels, one does see an intensity because there is no external to fall back on. It happens because the preacher is leading them from the heart, and we need to recuperate that intensity and sincerity, not going therefore into automatic pilot. It's important that we realize what we're doing when we're in prayer. And so it is that I've always had respect for what the Spirit is doing across the Christian board, and we must collaborate with that and have his respect for the mystery of every other soul that stands before us. We do not know the fullness of that mystery, and we mustn't behave as though we did. Now, with regard to the abuse of grace, it is out there massively, and it was brought to my attention only yesterday that it had been picked up very clearly by Pope Benedict. I quote this in translation. He was referring to indications that worship in spirit and in truth is no longer there on the part of the human when certain other manifestations show that that is the case. Here we have a gem of a quote from Pope Benedict. There where applause breaks in for the human work done in the liturgy, there one is before a sure sign that the sense of the liturgy has been completely lost and has been substituted by a sort of entertainment of a religious background. Earlier in time, St. John the 23rd had this to say: I wish to express a desire. It is that in church you do not cry out, that you do not clap your hands, that you do not salute even the Pope, because it is Templum Dei, Templum Dei. And we have this from St. Pius X. Non liceat, let it not be allowed. Let it not be allowed to applaud the servant in the house of the Master, the Lord. We have also the word of St. Pio of Pietrelcino. On Calvary, there were those who applauded the death of Christ. The soldiers and the demons. Applause has come in only in recent times, and it is a virtual denial of the presence in the tabernacle and on the altar. Because if one realized what one was doing, one would cringe from applauding the man in the house of the Son of God. I wrote these words when admiring this picture, which had been framed by Auntie Gaynor, and I had with me for a long time. It's the famous painting Salem. And the little boy in the picture was alive for many years. He's long dead now, but these would have been real persons. And this expresses the intensity of prayer that would have happened in these hidden country chapels in Wales, and which I still remember, especially in the prayer meeting of a Thursday evening, the saints on their knees. There was an expression, it was gafael yn rhaffair addewidion, tugging in the ropes of the promises. It was a gift, being able to lead in prayer, and we need to ask for it and not presume that we all have it. This picture I had all through my childhood and adolescence, and even until I entered the monastery. And this picture was next to my mother's bed. Salem. There is a beauty in simplicity that is beheld but by the simple eye, that looks upon the abiding Trinity, awaiting in recesses deep, yet high, too high to be approached with petulance about the perfect note, the pleasing sight. E'en though these two have oft rent dark veils whence have issued rays of grace and glory bright. We do but need to grasp the utterness of this our brethren's clinging love, to fathom what moves in this emptiness that holds an overflowing from above. For there is truth within the gentlest touch that has been meant, full meant, with meaning such.